I think we're live. Yeah, let me just do some checking here. Yeah, it looks like we might be live here. How's our bandwidth going? Cool. Sorry, just double checking on some things here. Just due to last week having a really terrible time streaming there. Um, so, welcome to MiniStrokes, program where I'm going to paint a minifigure and um, talk about surviving a stroke. Yeah. So this episode is called "The Devil's in the Details," or alternate title, "I Pity the Fiend." Um, yeah. So uh, just let me know if anything is going on via chat. Uh, or if it's friends, send me a text. Yeah. So um, cool. So today we are going to paint a Pit Fiend, and a little bit with the theme of the day is just kind of it's about the details. It's the best way to put it. The little things to kind of look out for, to think about. Um, um, yeah, I guess maybe I'm a little bit off kilter there, but it's about the little details about the stroke. It's the best way to put it. Um, so yeah, again, it's new format. This is a new experience for me. Um, and trying my best to kind of see what's going on. Try my best way to explain and to put out my experiences with this kind of major health event. So yeah, so we'll get started. I'm gonna switch cameras or make the webcam on the work desk a bit more of the main focus here. So one quick second, guys. So this is a Pit Fiend. Let's see if we can get there with a better bit better of a focus. So yeah, so I think like prior episode, whenever I'm going to paint a miniature, I kind of take a look at them and look at some reference sources, like the Monster Manual with this guy, or Mordekainen's Tome of Foes is another one. And kind of look at the color schemes, figure out what I'm going to paint them, and if there's any changes I'm going to do, because, well, this guy's going to get played in my game, and I get to decide in my world what the Pit Fiend looks like. So, but I think I'm going to stay pretty true to the fact of what a Pit Fiend looks like. So, quite a bit of red. Hey, how's it going, TJ? Um, I type out there to you to the chat room, but I've pulled away my keyboard and not as quick with the keyboard as I am just chatting. Yeah, so what are we going to do? So I think color scheme wise, I'm gonna go with some dark reds, most of the body, and maybe some oranges within here, and underneath. Um, Obviously black on the horns, and maybe kind of trying to scale it up to with some bone white to the tips. Give it a nice flared kind of look to it. Yeah, this is going to probably be now the biggest figure I've going to paint. So it's going to be pretty fun. Yeah, so let me go and get paints set up. And while I do that, chat about the details. So, what are the details? Good. No typing needed. Fantastic. I think the details are how one's life changes within an event like this. Make sure to turn this down. There are things even a year and a half out that I'm still trying to understand. Because, for most of it, I feel pretty fine. I not necessarily recovered miraculously, but overall for the amount of kind of how far I went kind of down the stroke rabbit hole of losing complete use of one side. I mean, doing pretty fine. I mean, it's taking a little bit of time. Yeah, I mean, some of the things the details is like I registered and recognized that I was having a stroke and not a migraine. And it's not a factor of because I had this preternatural thought that oh hey this is a stroke. It's just I think it's in our popular culture of what a stroke is. You watch shows like House or whatever other medical dramas that are hip and new. I don't follow any of it. I think House is the last one I've watched. And yeah. So I mean, I can tell you again details wise. I didn't smell toast, so don't trust that. But again, could be completely different for another person. I guess the best thing is, and again, it comes down to details, learning learning what to look for when somebody's having a stroke, and it's what's called as a FAST system. And that's an acronym for face, asymmetry, and slurring of words, and then time. Yeah, that's what it is. That's I should know it more. I should know it better. Anytime I have a migraine, I have to go through it. Kind of like, oh, well, how's my face? How's it's just more of a precaution because I feel like just can't trust your body anymore once something like that happens. Um, so I'm gonna start getting into the painting here. I'm gonna just go with a base coat of the red. And again, I use Army Painter Nolger's Magnificent Paints. So anybody else who's going to paint this, they might use a different color. I'm actually using one that is not... This is one I haven't used before. It's called Succubus Red. I think that works pretty well for this. So let's see. Let's see it on here. Yeah, absolutely. About with COVID, uh, doctors have been finding that this is causing like just a higher risk of aneurysms and um, strokes in relatively young people. I mean, like in their 20s. I mean, not relatively young. That is pretty damn young. I mean, um, uh, yeah. So, what other details? Um, Thinking about it. Yeah, I think I'm liking this red on here. So strokes can be caused. Oh yeah, actually, how many pictures have I painted now? Um, oh shoot, one, two, three, at least 20, I think, maybe more. Uh, yeah, I'm just trying to think of. There are some that are over at our gaming host's house that just live there now. So, um, and oh yeah, it's actually even more because I painted a huge slew of were rats. Man, oh wow, kind of lose track. um, let's get some water into this red. Get it move around a little bit nicer. Yeah, that's better. This guy's gonna take a couple coats. I just need to move, get that red moving around. uh, yeah. If Cass or Turner show up in this, they could probably tell you how crazy it gets. Um, they are currently dealing with the potential of uh, uh, Yenagong, the pretty much the demon prince of gnolls coming into the world. So, and they're not even level 5. So, yeah, and that's actually because of another game I was running with Turner and Chelsea and Carrie and Hunter. Yes, yes, it is. It is a terrifying beast. It is a challenge rating 20 beast. They are up there. You don't want to throw this at anybody till they're probably, if it's a standard four to five group team, maybe at around what level 12 at the start, like just one. Uh, this is a what's called a succubus red. Um, yeah, I mean, well, it gets four attacks. It can turn invisible. Uh, it is immune to magic. This is just off the top of my head. I was kind of taking a look at all the mechanics about it earlier today. Um, uh, yeah, they are a beast. I mean, level 20 is no joke. I mean, you've got ancient dragons who are not even a level 20 CR. You can tell I've been nerding out on D&D quite a lot recently. Yeah. They are the bane um, of magic casters. Now, magic weapons, I don't know if they have to worry about that, but I think possibly. Um, I know Critical Role. There was an episode where DM Matt Mercer threw. Oh God, I think like three or four of these guys at his crew, and it was they barely escaped out of that one. Yeah. Let's actually get the red all up into the horns too. Yeah. Uh, Amazon paid them enough money to do a 20, I think that or a 12 episode series. I don't remember. I mean, they funded majority of it on Kickstarter, and then Amazon's like, "Hey, we want your property because why not?" I mean, they sell through Dark Horse pretty heavily. I mean, Dark. Uh, I forget the sales numbers. I don't probably can't even say what the sales numbers are, but their sales numbers are super high for Critical Role, and we've got so many projects in the works for their stuff. So okay, I need a little more red on my palette. Yeah, it's not bad. And currently right now working from home, so quite nice in that way. Oh yeah. Was wondering about that with um like a well, if you're interested in and can do sales or interested in uh, foreign licensing. I know we're hiring for that. Or if you just need a simple warehouse job to get by until something better comes along, I think we've got some spots open up for that too. Um, seriously, you just go like Google Dark Horse careers or Tifa, things from another world jobs, and you can find the I think the um, at least the Tifa the things for another world jobs is one where you could definitely find the warehouse position. Yeah, yeah, it's they're a pretty great place to work for. Um, yeah. Shoot. Oh gosh, for reading. The Invisible Kingdom, and again, it's gonna be sounds so like I'm just blasting Dark Horse, like it's like advertisement. Invisible Kingdom from them, super great. Christian Ward, G. Willow Wilson, fantastic comic. Uh, I'm actually so far behind on comics and books. I am, yeah. I've gotten to the point to where I'm just audiobooking everything, so I can while I'm working, I can just listen to stuff. So, but yeah. It's man, this guy's going to take such a long time. Lightbringer, Lightbringer. That sounds familiar. Who's the author? Oh yes. Okay. No. Now I know who that series. I think I read the first two books, and kind of fell off track because it was their monster bricks of novels, and yeah, I wouldn't doubt it goes freaking crazy at the end. I mean, what was the other one where he had it was like a the assassins, like the immortal assassin guy who every time he dies he just pops back into a room and then comes back out. Night Angel, yes, yeah, yeah, that got freaking crazy near the end. Super fun to read, but nuts. Let's see. Try not to block the camera with my dumb right hand. Illuminatus trilogy. Oh, yeah, I'm not aware of that one. Send that right over this way. back into shot. Oh, that sounds really interesting. I'm gonna have to give it a look. Yeah, I think for audiobook wise stuff, uh, going through um, the essential Robert E. Howard, Conan the Barbarian stories that were collected and edited by J.D. Johns from Oregon State University. I think that's where he's from. Yeah, it's a like an academic take on the pulp fiction. They're fun. They have their problems, being that they were written by somebody from the 1920s and 30s. So take that as you will. But over otherwise, I mean, they are. They're fun. They're definitely fun. You just have to deal with the. Well, I'll at least say that Howard's not as blatantly racist as Lovecraft is, which I've gone through and I've read, or at least audiobooked all of Lovecraft stuff, which great horror fodder, but there are times where you're just like, oh jeez, this guy. Oh yeah, this red was a good choice. This is drying in such a nice way. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna do the whole oh well product of his times sort of spiel, but um, later in his life he did start. This is going with H.P. Lovecraft. He did start at least exploring outside of a small New England, area. So he started to relax a ton on that the racism bit. Not not by a fucking lot, but um, you know, you can at least see he was starting to learn. You can give him that. You can give him that at least. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, I think there's actually a couple really good. Um, what is it? What am I thinking of? The word. There's a detail there for the whole um, stroke thing. The factor of easily lost words, and part of that is also because brain stress, rewiring, things like that. There are annotated anthologies um, that do go into a really deep and not forgiving look into Lovecraft and how his writing style developed and things. I mean, they're still respectful because Lovecraft is very, very much a cornerstone in modern horror and the cosmic oh god, what is it? Yeah, well, basically cosmic horror. There's another term for it, but uh, it's a good read. Yeah, Eldrick is definitely one of them. Uh, but there was a mentality he started picking up about how small and insignificant everybody is that to something much larger a being that is, say, how we perceive a mayfly. We are like the mayflies to something like that. So that started becoming a big thing in his like actual life, and that's the reason why his writing started turning into the cosmic eldritch horror as it did. Before that, he did a lot more. Um, Actually, really kind of standard horror stuff. But that's a lot of his early work. So, which a lot of people don't really read, and also very, very racist, which understandably they don't want to read. Yeah. So let's go back to the back here. We've got some of these areas I pulled. Move it out. Okay. I think absolutely on that with we're drawn to that more and more. Um, I think as we've understand and explore, I mean, not just the cosmos, but our own world, we kind of realize just how little we know and how big everything else can be, even though we are shrinking the world itself with other means and by other means. Oh, yeah. I mean, like constant new discoveries and things that we don't even know about our own body come into play all the time. So yeah. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So much red. Some paint around and get some more paint on this brush here. Yeah, man. Ah, definitely. You should guys do it. I was thinking about maybe doing something like that myself. Had a lot of fun creating the doing a world world backstory world guide for my campaign, and that was super fun. And um, yeah, you guys doing one together and with the knowledge of what you guys know about some stuff, I think would be fantastic for you guys to do. Unless you're doing it separately and you guys are just helping each other with editing and stuff. But either way, I mean, yeah. Excuse me. So many nooks and crannies on this guy. Yeah. Oh man, that's gonna be cool. What are you gonna do, TJ? So she's gonna do the horror fantasy. Deep future sci-fi. Oh man, that sounds fun. Speaking of like speculative fiction, came to find that I really liked some of the early work of Philip K. Dick. I gotta read his the stuff that's he's more famous for, but um, he did some really good early stuff too. I think The Variable Man is probably one of my new favorite stories. I mean, it's got a little bit of a. It's got problems, especially if you think about it in a modern sense. But I think overall, as a story wise, it's a fun story. It moves quite quickly. All right, set the guy down again. I got eating up all my paint. I mean, not all of it, but. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you haven't checked it out, there is a decent audiobook app called Chirp that does some good deals for pretty cheap, where you get like an audiobook for like $1. And I picked up one from there was the early works of Philip K. Dick, and that's where I read the story. So, just for the fact I've had problems with Libby and trying to get audiobooks through the library. So, Chirp, CHIRP. Oh yeah, yeah. I jump back on Audible every once in a while to whenever they got some kind of sale going on or the membership's super cheap, and then I bounce back out. I don't want to give Bezo too much money, but yeah. But yeah, Chirp's pretty good. They're hit and miss on their sales. Sometimes on like something that's really good, but I mean they have a lot of classics on there that they sell for pretty cheap. I think Audible with their Gold Plus membership, whatever, you can kind of like listen to for free some of the stuff, but with the factor of knowing that this stuff can be taken away at any time, I think I'd rather know that I own it for instead of like, oh, I've listened to it, might want to come back to it in a month, and then it's no longer part of the program or something like that. Yeah, Grand Overlord Visa. Yeah. There's an app that I've heard about and saw that does or it might be in addition to like Google or something, where if you're shopping on Amazon, can help show you local places where you can get those items for just as cheap. I'll have to look into that. starting to get too thick. There we go. Keep pulling this guy out of the camera shot. Okay. Yeah, just trying to think. Probably always a little bit overly too busy on stuff, because that's just my MO on things. Uh, but yeah, I mean, like, besides running a weekly Tuesday night game with a seven person party, got a Star Wars game that I'm playing in with Turner and Cass and one other person from our Star Wars game, from our D&D game. Carrie is still working at National Builders Hardware, but might be, or not might be, but she's now given like more of a full department. Yeah, the Star Wars game is pretty fun. I'm playing a droid in it. It's kind of a little bit out of my wheelhouse, so it's quite fun. Yeah, I'm a droid that's trying to become a a droid, um, yeah, like C3PO, things like that. R2D2. Um, yeah, guy is a actually I am not. I am the gambler. Yeah. Um, I am my backstory for that character is a refurbished assassin droid with a gambler's proxy unit in it, um, and my master friend was killed during a game, and so I decided to kill the people in that game, take the winnings, and go. You know what? I'm done with dealing with these suckers. There are suckers who just don't realize that they are suckers, and I'm gonna pretty much build I'm gonna become a snake oil salesman. So, um, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I get a nice, good head shake from the GM. Um, it's been pretty fun, and also can do the whole not understanding idioms or understanding humor too well. It's kind of fun. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's an ultimate goal I won't reveal yet for this character that I am playing. But it is um, basically I'm going to try to win a person's heart literally, like not a figurative thing of like make them fall in love with me or anything like that. I'm literally going to win their heart and I'm going to use it for something. A little bit like Bender. There is definitely some Bender in this character. A little bit of Roberto, the insane robot, also. Yeah, I don't have the many of him that I painted for the game here. It's at our host's house. So yeah, oh yeah. Because nobody wants to be an XD robot. I mean, or DX robot. I can't remember the name of that robot that was helping everybody out. One DX robot, something like that. Yes, the upgrade X, the one X robot. That's what it is. Yep. Yeah. Oh, a little bit more red on this guy. It looks like he just has a bad sunburn. Um, yeah, I think I just need to thin out the red a little bit more to get some of these nooks and crannies. So it's gonna just be a little longer on this guy, and then we'll go into detail painting. Um, this is a Pit Fiend, so a big devil dude from the Nine Hells. I'm trying to remember what it's almost like Pokemon. They upgrade from another one. Um, uh, but I don't remember the particular devil that they upgrade from. Yeah, but they spend like 1,001 days within hellfire to cleanse themselves and turn into pure lawful evil, and they turn out to look like this guy. Oh well, um, this guy or a female version of it. Um, so, which that'd be kind of. I'm surprised that. Well, there's probably a miniature producer who has created the female version of this. That'd be actually kind of cool to have. Yeah, let's get some more water into that paint. He may or may not. Yeah. Yeah, these guys are pretty crazy. They're like top tier badasses of the nine hells. The only thing that's above them are um, arch devils. Basically, you're rulers of one of the nine realms. Yeah, some D&D lore drop there for you. Pretty interesting characters, and in their way, um, depending on what you put into them. Uh, yeah. I almost feel like I should bust out one of my larger brushes just to cover this guy, but I have a feeling I'm just gonna lose detail by doing that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Um, I think I went on a well. I went to I tried to see if I could paint 12 miniatures. Dude, you should. Yeah, do a Gundam. Stressful? I don't. I don't think so. I think it's only stressful because I'm streaming it maybe. Um, because it's got a very zen quality to it. I think you can kind of just get lost figuring out if there's any extra details or additions. Um, yeah, and final expectations is a key thing too. Um, yeah, yeah. That's why uh, got into doing some 3D printing. So I'll probably here in the future paint one of the models I've printed, and that helps cut down a little bit. I mean, startup cost was expensive, but overall though, get quite a lot of miniature figures out of doing that. Yeah. Let's see. Little side guy. Oh, where'd he go? There's the stress of miniatures. Um, yeah, this is one of the 3D prints I've done. Let's see if I can get a better view. Now everything's a little fuzzy. It's kind of hard to see, but painted 12 of those guys for one shot. That is a were rat. Which I've gone to them. I've gone to Hero Forge to check out their stuff. Definitely. Yeah. Actually, that was a joke when my group got into dealing with them. Yeah, they were like, "Oh man, we're fighting and dealing with a bunch of splinters." I'm like, "Yeah, you better hope there's no turtles down here, man." Yes, they do print color. depending on the style of the 3D printer you're using, they too. I went halvesies with Turner to buy a resin printer, which does some pretty high detail stuff, and like, actually, I got another one. This guy's nasty looking. I 3D printed also. Um, so, this was their big boss, big bad they had to deal with in a dungeon within a city. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, it was pretty fun. And there's a lot of great resources out there for 3D printing and figuring it out. It's actually quite nice that we've gotten to a point now that the technology's been around so long. You don't have to be. That's still a little wild westy, um, in its way, but it's not terribly so. If you get my drift, there are people who have done it enough that can help you out with figuring out troubleshooting. Um, uh, the plastic extruder kinds of 3D printers I haven't dealt with yet. It's just been the resin kind, and those are got a steep learning curve, but they produce such amazing prints. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's something I've kind of a background in my head. It's like I gotta learn Blender or what other 3D um, programs that they got out there. Can start creating my own stuff. Right now, it's uh, purchasing from Patreon or finding free files through um, different sources. So yes, yes. Oh wow, must have been a must have been a pretty big printer. Oh wow. Yeah, that must have been one of those big FEP printers, the extruders, I think. Oh wow. Get that red a little runnier. Get into here. And this miniature is fantastic and looks really great. It is just a pain. Such a pain to paint with all these nooks and crannies. Luckily, there's a lot of stuff I can just kind of do a couple coats on and let the primer just come through, give it a nice paranatural look. Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, go grab some dinner. Be on here. Sundays at 6 is a manner to yeah. Thought that was like the easiest and most time, like the best time, since everybody's gonna probably just be chilling and not getting ready to either not go to work or just go to work, whatever. Yeah, man. Yeah, Sundays at 6. Good, man. Keep this guy in the camera shot, but it's just such a pain in the ass. Smooth out some of this texture here. Yeah. So. It's one of the topics for today was the details. Lay that guy down for a second. What are the little details that happen, that occur? During, after a stroke, however you want to see it, and just from my perspective, I think part of it that comes, that I've noticed, as though if I'm for the most part, I feel fine. Some days better than others. Again, being that year and a half out, I and I've done some physical therapy to help out with it. Is just the kind of prolonged numbness and lack of being able to move the right leg or arm in a particular manner. Like, I still, when I walk, depending on how the day's going, or maybe how stressed I am, or because that's a key thing, actually. Stress is such a huge factor with strokes. Stress, I mean, well, we're all learning stress is a killer. stress can set you back pretty quickly and pretty easily, or what it feels like pretty quickly, pretty easily. Um, uh, um, if I'm having a stressful moment, my right side will kind of lock down just because, or like an anxiety attack, panic attack. What's going on is my brain is flipping switches and rewiring things to deal with what it perceives as a threat. Even though there might be an actual legitimate threat um, going on, the body reacts how it reacts. So some of it is, and I think it's these details are more. I notice them. I don't think everybody else notices them. Um, but my right arm doesn't really swing when I walk anymore. I have to kind of mentally tell it to do that as a form of um, yeah, yeah. Um, or my right leg. Well, basically, I turned into like a hop along Cassidy is the best way I like to call it. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, stress shows up, and it automatically just becomes yeah. Oh, left arm after. Oh wow. Yeah, so it was on the right side of his brain that the stroke was happening, and not on his left side because it's the opposite sides there, and that's yeah. Oh, oh wow. Unless he was left-handed, it might be a flip kind of thing, the brain wise. Just thought process on it. The other thing is, yeah, you not that you become a like a doctor about it, but if you were affected by it, or you know people who are affected by it, close loved ones, you start to learn a lot about these things. Oh wow. I think I'm gonna be done with this red here soon. Yeah, what was I saying? Going with. Yeah, that's. Oh man, that's terrible. Um, was it at 60 when you first had the stroke, or was that earlier, or? Yeah, yeah. I kind of not wake up call, but I was very very much. I knew I didn't want to let anything set aside, um, or let anything get too weak. Um, I've had some setbacks here and there. Um, either because I don't understand or realize my limits, details again as we go into it. Um, Yikes! Yeah, the older you get, the harder it is definitely on the brain and the plasticity of it. Um, yeah. Oh wow. The really the only reason I am yeah, yeah, that's definitely gonna put a throw a wrench into things. Oh, yeah. 1 second. Rest my left arm there. Oh, gonna shakes on my left side there. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm getting back into a workout regimen. So there's that. Yeah, that was going to be the thing. Is I I was able to recover pretty okay wise from my stroke. A because of age. 32 is quite young to have one. And first, they didn't think that's what was happening until symptoms progressed further and further. Be relatively good shape. Um, uh, and good blood work kind of thing. The only thing that was like, they were like, yeah, your cholesterol, if you were just somebody who didn't have just had a stroke, is fantastic. But because you had a stroke, it's terrible. We need to get it down. Uh, I think maybe career-wise thing could be it. And, these are details I've thought about of why I kind of, and part of it is I and I'm stopping it on this is a little hard for me because I feel what is called survivor's guilt, because you hear about other people, even people younger than me, who just have their life completely and utterly wrecked by this, and they are just as healthy, just as um, you know, similar conditions as I were, or as I was at that time, and yeah. I'm just gonna move some of this red around in here. So, details again. You learn. You have to relearn what are your where is your wall? That's basically where I'm trying to go with. What is the wall now? Um, it's a way of I like to use it from a runner's standpoint or idea, because I used to run. I loved. Actually, I'm probably one of those few people who really does like to go out and and run, and jog for a few miles and come home, and it was great. I went out and did something. That's now a little hard. Again, it's um, yeah. Thank you. I'm happy to be alive too. I actually have to give a lot of thanks to Tara. Actually, she she moved really quickly after I had kind of let her know what was going on, um, and got me to the hospital super quick, which is again, so I'll use as the word of the day. Um, yeah. Oh, no, not Carrie, but Tara at Dark Horse. Um, that's so right. um, yeah, I couldn't even imagine what Carrie was going through. With that. But yeah, Tara was super helpful. Um, I also feel really bad for her because she got kind of that thrown out at her. I was there at there in the office, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna smile at you, and yeah, yeah. Um, Let me know if my right side of my face moves or not, and um, the kind of ball dropping of her going, yeah, your the right side of your face isn't moving at all. Um, was a big kicker. And we were just like, okay, time to go to the hospital. I think that's done with the red for right now. Yeah. Uh, Gosh, so much paint on this brush. Put it through a thorough cleaning here. So, so I'm not gonna douse this guy completely and utterly in red. I mean, he is doused in that, but not so thickly. I'm trying to find some areas where I could just move some of this paint around because I'm using the primer underneath to help give a texture to this guy. So some of the kind of pre-painting with that primer. Um, Plus, any of these areas that it pulls in. Yep. Yep. I say, Crystal, if you ever want to come back, they're looking for an AP person again. No, I understand you don't want to come back. So say Andrew's no longer there, so you don't have to worry about him anymore. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, some. Oh well, it came out about him doing some. Yeah. Oh yeah, I understand. Uh, uh, there was a past Tifa employee during it was earlier 2020 around I think it was about March and April when a lot of people were coming out and talking about Scott Alley and how much they're surprised about him still working in the business, especially a bunch of other um, artists and other people. Um, but there was a response from a former Tifa employee. I'm trying to remember his name and his position, but I believe he was one of the managers for the store of Andrew just being casually racist. So, um, yeah, so he left pretty soon after that. Yeah. Let's see. spread around. Yeah, so yeah, he hasn't been around since about then, and they're not refilling his or not putting anybody else in that position. So there's that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, mm, yeah, after kind of finding out all the other stuff about Scott. Um, trying to think. Josh and Jeff have left. Um, so they have two new guys there, Brandon and uh, Jules. Um, yeah, yeah, and basically James is the only one in that area. Was in that area of the office afterwards. So yeah, yeah. Um, which I yeah there's yeah a whole bit thing with not James but with the guys in the marketing section. Yeah, yeah, I could see that with James. It's kind of doing purchasing, and that's actually yeah what he's still doing. I'm gonna start putting this orange on this guy. Oh, yeah, yeah. So, um, what was it with? Yeah, yes. So, uh, we had another medical event that happened within the Dark Horse uh, office, like practically a year after my event. Um, the new guy named Jules, who was he's now like he was basically in Jeff's position and also doing Josh's, where and then this guy named Brandon, who is like the head of the marketing, doing some other stuff, some bigger stuff. Uh, cut a get straight to the point. Dude practically and basically died in the office and was resuscitated. Um, yeah, uh, that was pretty crazy. Um, not gonna lie. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Was pretty shooken up after that happened. Yeah, dude's he's alive. He's well. He's still working for Dark Horse. Just uh, basically he had like a I think it was a minor heart attack, and dude is I think around right around my age or so. Was walking back from a meeting and pretty much fell down. Um, as far very much as far as I'll go with it. Yeah. Uh, was pretty crazy on that end there. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Um, yeah, I'm really. Well, as they said, the last curse of 2020 possibly could be is that we're just going to end the year with everybody just talking in the Borat voice. Yes. Yes, that is absolute key. Um, that's nice. Yep. I think those shoulders should get some of this yellow too. Make it very flame-like. Yeah, so it was pretty crazy in the Dark Horse office over the last year, 2 years or so. So, yeah. Yeah, we are on our third new AR person. Um, so far, he seems like he's working out. Um, I was trying to remember if you were there for. Is her name Nikita? I can't remember now. Yeah. Anyways, she didn't last very long. Yes. Yeah. I kind of think about a month after you left, they ended up letting her go because she just wasn't really getting the work done. Um, then we hired another person for that position that was uh, seemed like she was working out pretty well. Extremely artistic. think it was of around June. Yes, it was around June. She left to start her own business because she had enough followers and like Patreon stuff to do her art full time. So now we got another person who's working there, and he seems to be doing all right. So hopefully he sticks around. Otherwise, it'll just be me and Tara sharing duties of AR and AP and royalty and yeah. Yeah, yeah, because that's basically me right now. I am shoved in between doing a little bit of AR, doing a lot of AP, and doing Tifa stuff. So, which is fine. I don't mind being busy, but yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But working from home's been pretty nice in that sense that I don't have to worry about and feel so stressed about um, being in the office is kind of the key thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. People don't seem to stay terribly long. Um, yeah, actually, after the second AR person left, I had to kind of let them know I have no plans of leaving as of yet or anything like that or any time in the future that I'm aware of. um, just to so they wouldn't have to feel too stressed out about it because yeah, yeah. Because I think after that, because before that person left, we let go of the AP person we hired after you had left, because they were really just mainly doing. I mean, part of it was I think a little bit the economy was part of it, but the other big thing was a factor of she didn't do too much more than um, data entry. So that was a thing. Get that paint off of there. Thank you. Yeah. Um, I thought of it as a good way to kind of let people in. I have a very hard time doing that. And that became extremely apparent after my stroke, and this is a way to do it in a fashion that I can talk about these kind of things without feeling like a burden. Is the best way to put it. It's taken some therapy about that to come through and come with that idea. So, oh yeah, there we go. There's another label on for details. PTSD is not something that only people who have been through war zones. It's basically anything that is traumatic, or a traumatic episode. So, and facing that and understanding that is a big thing to come to terms with. Especially with my upbringing, with the idea of if it ain't broke, if it isn't broken, then you don't need to go see a doctor, sort of mentality. So, yeah, yeah. Hey, at least I can say I haven't been hit by a car after leaving the Dark Horse Christmas party since that one year. Yeah, I was raised by a single mother, so that's a little bit of that mindset. Too. And also growing up in a very rural area, you get that kind of thought process put into your head. Don't need to see no doctor unless it's broken and you can't lift it and you can't work. Yeah. Paint away from here that got off on the lines. Yeah, that's building up. This guy's a much bigger character than I'm normally used to painting, so I mean, this is, I'm finding a really good example. I think that's a pretty decent example. These are the kind of more of the characters I typically paint. Let's see if I can get a better view a little bit further away. That's one of my first guys that I painted, and then there's this little dude. Yeah, it's a little fuzzy. I think that's camera problems, though. But a little bit smaller, the details are a little bit more. You can kind of see exactly where you need to place things, whereas a beast like this is like, well, can play this by ear here, play it by ear there. Like, I don't know. This guy's a little bit easier to see. This was last week's model. Which came out pretty well. So, yeah. A lot better looking in person than via a reduced frame rate stream. Which I'll post the final product by the end of the night here. After everything's dried and set. Let's get some of these streaks out of here. Just have that trail off, that color trail off down here. Oh, yeah, yeah. I actually think I am wearing the shirt that is helped to support his recovery from which I the tie-dyed shirt. Purchased that after seeing that. I didn't know that was your friend. Oh, wow. Yeah, hopefully he's doing okay. I know me and a couple of my buds really enjoy the wedge head, and it's I hope to see them back whenever, if ever, things get back to normal. Oh, that would be neat. Yeah, after you guys took me there on your going away party, I've been hit up there every once in a while, not all the time, but when I can, because it's such a cool place. Just seeing where else to go with this. I think I know. That'll seem a little counterintuitive because I painted all over it, but there's a reason for my madness. Oh, Carrie is doing good. She is actually kind of moving up even more in her at her job. Which is really good. I'm glad she's getting to a point she's happy with it. So, which makes me happy for her. With this, we've figured out, we had to change up some, and if we're thinking about with the strokement, with that too, we just had to change up some responsibilities and tasks on how to get things done. Some of that's definitely coming back to me on those things. And those responsibilities are like chores. There was things I would do and help out with, and then couldn't really do that because no strength in the right arm or lack of energy. I think it's nearly taken a year to get almost back up to the same level of energy I had before the stroke. So, but otherwise, she's doing okay. yeah. There will be actually something I'll be using a little later on to give those guys a bit more definition that will help out. A lot of with miniature painting, a lot of it is painting over an area, coming back, painting a small area that you just painted, just because you just have to layer up those colors and yeah, it's just a nice building process, and it kind of allows you to stop and think of like what you need to or might need to do to change things, and also fix problem areas. Well, so looking at the time, it's almost 8 o'clock. I don't think I'm going to get to detail work tonight, so I think what we'll end up doing is making this a two-parter. Or I'll work on more of these horns, getting the claws. Yeah. I was going to say also, with miniature paints, the acrylics, the hue particles are so small. And the paint itself is so thin. It actually dries pretty quickly, and this guy's so big, I can kind of go back over areas pretty soon. But yeah, I think I'll have to call that a night. I think 2 hours of painting right now is good enough. Gives me an idea of where I may want to fix some areas, change some things, keeping a certain motif going on. But yeah. So we'll call this part 1 of a two-parter of The Devil's in the Details. Thank you, Crystal, for hanging out. And thank you, TJ, who is not here but hung out. And anybody else that was hanging out too. Yeah, so guys have a great night, and see you next week.